Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar organized by WeUni in collaboration with Bard College. My name is Florencia, and I will have the pleasure of being your host throughout today's event. First of all, I want to thank you for joining this webinar. I know your time is really valuable, and that's why we have prepared a very special session with members of Bard College, staff who will share their expertise and knowledge with all of you. Before we start, just a quick information. During the presentation, you can submit all your questions to the speakers throughout the Q&A box at the bottom of Zoom. And at the end of the talk, we will open a Q&A session, and our speakers will answer them directly to you. Okay. Also, all participants attending this event can request a certificate of attendance issued by WeUni. At the end of the session, I will share the link in the chat so that you can register and receive it. Now, let me introduce today's special speakers on behalf of Bard College. We are here with Duncan MacDonald, who is program manager of the Masters in Global Studies, and with Nilufar and Julia, both graduated from the Masters in Global Studies from last year and 2024. Okay. It's truly an honor to have you with us. Welcome, and thank you for joining this webinar. So today we are going to go inside the MAGS experience. We are going to discover the Masters of Arts in Global Studies. Our panelists will guide you throughout the structure of the program, the academic approach, and the experience of studying in New York City as an international graduate student. With that said, I will now hand it over to Duncan to begin the presentation. Okay, Duncan, are you ready?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Florencia. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen now. And thank you again very quickly to both Julia and Nilufar for joining us today. Very excited for some of our alumni to get to share their experiences with you folks joining us today. As Florencia mentioned, I'm just going to start us off with a bit of a quick program overview, walk you through sort of the key elements of the program, as well as sort of introduce, what Bard and the MA in Global Studies program is all about. So without further ado, I will get us started. Again, just a quick overview. I will go through the program, and then as soon as possible, I will pass it over to our shining alumni here in the chat with us. I'll circle back towards the end with just a little bit of information about the admissions process in case anyone here today is looking towards applying in the near future. And of course, we'll wrap up with an open Q&A with the audience. So just very quickly again to introduce myself, my name is Duncan MacDonald. My email is right here. Just wanted that to be right off the bat for you folks to jot this down in case you have any follow-up questions after today. I'm the program manager here at the MAGS program, and I'm actually a Bard College graduate myself. So I've been working with a lot of the faculty members and some of the community members here at the MAGS program for many, many years now, and I'm very excited to be, sort of the student-facing role of the program right now. I with both Julia and Nilufar sort of during their admissions processes, so as they can speak to, I'm really kind of the, if you're interested in applying, you'll be getting a lot of face time with me. So I'll be a great point of contact for you moving forward after today, and I'll also make sure we have some other contacts for you towards the end as well. So just to kick us off really quickly, I wanted to give a general introduction to who Bard College is. So if you see on this map on the left side, the little yellow star is actually where Bard College, the main campus, is based. It's based in Annandale-on-Hudson, New York. The campus was founded in 1860, so obviously we have a very historic college community dating back to the late 19th century. A lot of Bard's programs have grown and changed over time. And as some of you may know, Bard has all sorts of different programs, including at the high school level, the early college level, and all the way up to graduate programs like we're speaking about today. On the right side, as you can see, is a closer look at NYC, where our campus is based. So the little red pin, if you zoom in, we are just across the East River from Manhattan in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, where the little Bard NYC flag is. This has been a recent move for us, actually. In 2023, we started shifting all of our operations over to this really nice new modern facility in Williamsburg. And we're very excited to sort of have today all of our programs based here in Williamsburg, like I mentioned. We'll circle back to a little bit of the New York City stuff, but again, to kind of focus on the program for today, I always like to start with a bit of just a general overview about what global studies means and how Bard College approaches our global studies program. So we like to say specifically that we are both an inter and multidisciplinary program, offering students a program to approach international problems and transnational problem solving from not just one perspective, but from pulling, information and perspectives from a very wide range of academic fields beyond, kind of traditional international relations. We've also designed this program to think really specifically about the theory-practice nexus, we say, encouraging students to think not only critically and academically about the issues that they're curious about, but also try to get their hands, in the field work of what's going on and how different actors are involved in these issues, and thinking about how those things, kind of influence each other, both theory and practice, hand in hand. And lastly, like I mentioned, we often have students from quite a wide range of academic backgrounds coming into the program. We say that an IR or a political science background is certainly a very helpful foundation for global studies work, but there's a lot more going on than just international relations in this space. So if you glance to the right, you can see just a very quick list of some of these other key themes and topics that we see students coming in with a passion for and an interest in tying up to the global level. So if any of these themes are resonating with you or, connect to what you're interested in, this program could definitely be a great fit for you. And I hope it's clear that this is by no means, an exhaustive list as well. Students are often coming in with new ideas each year, or, kind of combining different fields of these together into interesting projects and internship experiences. So I think you'll get a great glimpse at that as we go through Nilüfer and Yulia's stories in just a few minutes. A couple other things, just to go over some of the key program requirements. This is definitely an area where we are a little bit different from some other programs in this space. So the key thing is that we are just a one-year master's program. So you complete 30 credits over 2 academic semesters, and you earn that degree after just 1 year of academic work. So breaking it down a little bit further, often the fall semester is about 14 credits where students are, taking some of these sort of not introductory, but, kind of getting immersed in the field and the basis of the research going on in the program, taking some theoretical courses and getting your bearings with the big questions in global studies. You'll take 3 courses like that during the fall semester, as well as what we call a research design and academic writing course. So this is a forum, for students to really kind of come together and think about what types of research they're engaging in, honing in on specific research questions for the second half of the program in our capstone project, which I'll speak about in just a moment. And then looking at the spring semester, where you'll complete the remaining 16 credits. So this is often where students get to engage in slightly more kind of specific interests in their classes during the spring semester. They'll often be kind of rotating elective-based courses where students are really able to kind of tie in their own experiences, bring their own issues and questions to the class discussions, all sorts of great things like that. And of course, sort of those 2 key elements of the program that you'll also be completing during the spring are the professional internship in global affairs, as well as the capstone project. A little bit more about sort of the structure of the program before we get into the nitty-gritty of the academics. I wanted to point out that we do have 2 different degree program options for students coming through the MA in Global Studies. The first option on the left side is our pretty standard MA in Global Studies program. Both of these, again, are just one-year master's programs, but you have a couple options for the direction you want to take the program in. So our classic MA in Global Studies program would be a full year in New York City. You'll take courses in the fall with us, followed by more courses and an internship in the spring. Whereas on the right side, if you take a look, this is our dual MA program in collaboration with Central European University. Both Nilüfer and Yulia were part of this dual MA track, so I think they'll be able to speak very well about this specific part of the program. But if there are any questions about, the full year in New York City, we're happy to touch on that today as well. The differences, obviously, between these 2 programs, the key difference is that in the CEU track, you will begin and spend the first part of the program in Vienna, Austria at Central European University. This is a bit more of an opportunity for some of those core international relations academic opportunities, because CEU is actually a very widely renowned research institute for politics and international affairs. So if you see yourself as someone who's really interested in sort of the hard research side of things, this might be one thing to consider consider for sure. And just one key difference here as we go along to keep in mind is that this dual MA program does require two separate applications to both colleges, and we're happy to also answer any questions as we get through this presentation. So looking a little bit more about, the academics and what you'll be engaging in while you're here in the MAGS program. And I know this is a lot of words on one slide for you, but I wanted to give you just a quick glimpse at, sort of the wide range of academic offerings we have each year. As I mentioned, being in an interdisciplinary program is a really key part of our identity as a master's program. So we're often switching up our courses, bringing in new, academics and scholars to teach about their expertise. As you can see, there's sort of a core, commitment to things that are global in nature, and how, different actors are involved in different parts of these processes, especially as it relates to, global problem solving and transnational issues that, as time goes on, I think get even more complicated with the way that the world is progressing. So on the left side here, as I said, you can just see a really quick sort of glimpse at the different types of key themes you can expect to see during the program. And then on the right side, as I mentioned, our capstone project. So, this is a one-year master's program. We wanted to try to come up with a meaningful research experience, but make it something that was feasible within that one-year timeline. So we decided to go with, instead of a full thesis option, we call it our capstone project. This is designed to, really specifically tie in not only your key research interests, but also give you an opportunity to kind of reflect on your own internship experience, any professional or personal experiences you have that, relate to your key academic insights, and also, give you the opportunity to kind of leave the program with a very realistic and sort of applied research project under your belt. And in the bottom right here, as you can see, just a few quick examples of these projects as well. Students are able to get really specific with these projects and, either take it in the direction of sort of like a policy paper where they're specifically advising about, how an agency or a specific actor could go about something. Or people are also engaging in sort of traditional research projects as well. So as I think Yulia and Nilufar will be able to highlight, the capstone is really an individualized process that allows you to sort of dig into exactly what you're hoping to look into as an academic. So that's just a bit more about the academics of the program for now. I also want to go over one of the really key elements of the program, of course, is the internship, as I mentioned. So during the spring semester in New York City, you work for about 15 to 20 hours a week at a professional organization in New York City. You'll complete about 200 hours of work by the end of the semester. So big picture wise, you are really committing to quite a lot during that spring semester. But we like to say that in this program, we are really supportive and sort of, guiding our students into taking all of these challenges on to a level of high success that we've been really pleased with over the years. As I mentioned, in terms of our support offerings, we really support students throughout the entire application process to internship. So, not only teaching you how to write cover letters and practice writing your resume and things like that, but also just sort of helping you develop those softer skills that are a part of the job application process, selling yourself confidently and connecting your own experiences to an organization's missions and all sorts of, key things like that not only will help you get an internship during the program, but will also set you up for success after you've completed the program. So some of the key elements, and often I'm sure we'll get some questions about this today, are whether internships are paid. So I do want to address this right off the bat. Unfortunately, at least in the United States right now, this is up to the organization itself to set this, make this decision. So we see interns, each semester with sort of a range of different sort of levels of compensation, whether that be, a full salary, they're getting a slight hourly rate for their work at the internship, or some students will not have any sort of form of payment, unfortunately. So that is up to the organization itself and can look a little bit different depending on the types of organizations you're looking at. But another key element of the internship that we have seen a lot, especially since the pandemic, as I'm sure you can imagine, is that a lot of positions now kind of require people to be willing to balance a hybrid or an in-person and remote schedule at different times of the year. So these are another opportunity for you to kind of train these professional skills that you might be expected to use once you've completed the program. This is just a really, really quick glimpse at some of our popular internship organizations. Again, this is not by any means an exhaustive list of where you could possibly intern when you come into the program, but I did want to try to give, a quick glimpse at some of the key, types of organizations that students end up, whether it be, something that's directly UN related or part of an intergovernmental organization, or we also have students, working at much smaller types of nonprofit organizations where they're able to sort of work on the full scope of an organization's work. So our internship network in New York City really kind of runs the gambit of that spectrum. And I would say, as I mentioned, in the internship search process, we really help you try to think about what types of organizations you might be interested in working at in the long run, and how this internship can be a launching ground for that opportunity. So if you see anything on this list that excites you, these are often pretty popular application sites for our students, and we're happy to answer any questions about, other organizations as well as we move forward. Just a couple of other really quick things before I pass it over to our alumni. I wanted to touch on our community here that we have in New York City. So as I mentioned, in 2023, we started moving all of our programs in the city to this Williamsburg, Brooklyn location. We shared this campus with an undergraduate study away program, as well as some undergraduate certificate programs that have students from all over the world here every semester. So we really truly have sort of a mini Bard College now here in the city that we like to say. So we really see ourselves developing a mini college community down here that is, not only full of international students, but full of staff with all sorts of different interests. In New York City, as I'm sure you can imagine, is sort of a training ground for everything. So it's been really cool to see our little community blossoming over the last few years. We even have now sort of a full student life team that's constantly, preparing programming for our students in and around our local community. So not only will you get to experience some kind of key New York City moments, things like, going to the Statue of Liberty if you want to, or the United Nations headquarters. You also get to see sort of what it's like to be a local New Yorker as well, because we offer all sorts of, community programming, things in the neighborhood, all sorts of stuff like that. And our new community, as I'm sure Nilüfer and Yulia can back me up on this, is a really nice new modern space. The rooms themselves are double rooms, so you will have a roommate in the space, but the rooms are quite large. There is quite a bit of privacy built into them, for in the grand scheme of things, having a roommate, it's pretty good conditions. And the facility is just really, it's a great new facility, all sorts of sort of modular spaces where you can, have study nights with your friends, reserve a room to take meetings, all sorts of things like that. So I think this community and our new residents is a really great selling point of the program as well. And these are just a few quick glimpses at, some of these moments throughout New York City. We're often taking our students on fun adventures. We try to get to things like Broadway shows and baseball games alongside, some of these more traditional New York City cultural sites. So definitely all sorts of great New York City moments to look forward to during the program. And I think all of us will be happy to talk as much about New York as you'll let us today if you have questions about that. So with that, I am going to, actually, one last thing before I pass it to our alumni, and you'll see they can, hark back to this because they're both mentioned in here. But I did just want to give sort of a quick glimpse at what the different types of opportunities our students go on to do after the program. We've seen quite a range of things, as I'm sure you can imagine, with students coming in with a very wide range of specific academic interests. But a lot of our students are going on to what I would say is sort of generally considered mission-driven work and things that are engaging with global actors and governmental agencies, for example. So just within this list, you can get a glimpse at sort of the different types of, job roles that students are taking on. As I said, we have two great examples here in the room today who can talk more about this in particular. But if you see, sort of any positions or types of work that are resonating with you on this list, I think you're looking at the right place. So today, as I mentioned, we have two of our alumni from the program over the past couple of years here to speak about their own experiences. I'm very excited to welcome back both Nilüfer and Yulia to share their experiences. Both had really interesting internships during their time in the program, and I thought turned out great capstone research projects. So hopefully, I think they can just provide you both or provide you all with a great glimpse at what the program really feels like for students. So without further ado, I would love to pass it over to each of you for a few minutes, maybe to, feel free to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what your time in the program was like. And I will happily step in if there are any questions. But I would at least love, starting with Nilüfer, if you could both just introduce yourself a little bit.
All right, thank you so much, Duncan, and hi everybody from Tajikistan. My name is Nilufar. I'm an alumni of 2024, and as Duncan also mentioned, I was part of a CU track, and I did this program. Um, yeah, 2 years ago. It feels like yesterday, to be honest. Yeah, time passes by so quickly. I was interning at UNSDSN, and I was part of communications team. I was a communications intern, but I was also taking on some projects in other departments because there was an opportunity, and I can talk more about that. And obviously, I decided to dedicate my capstone on. Um, Rethinking of education for sustainable development, and specifically took a case study of India because that was more interesting. So it was basically a combination of education and how we can solve sustainable development goals through education in different countries of the organization. But I will definitely talk more. Um, so should I hand it over to Julia for now? Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah. Hi everyone, and thank you so much for having me today. It's really pleasant to talk about the program that I think changed my life, I would say, because I loved everything and everyone I met during this program. So I'm Yulia, I'm the alumni of 2025, and I also did the CU track. So first semester in Vienna, second semester in New York. And I got a chance to intern in the permanent mission of Ukraine to the United Nations because I'm Ukrainian and I'm in love with international organizations. So I decided to combine these two things and have my internship there. And my capstone project was also connected to this because I was writing this on the diplomacy strategies of Ukraine in the United Nations, where I worked with the Ukrainian diplomats and was developing some policy recommendations for them.
Awesome. So I'm just going to go backwards actually to the slide where I have you both, so everyone can see this at both times. If I could toss out, just a preliminary question for you both. I would love for you to talk a little bit more specifically about your internship in the program. Obviously there's a few key aspects of the program alongside the academic coursework, but I'm sure many students are really specifically interested in the internship aspect of this. So if you could talk a little bit more about, maybe even starting with what the application process for your internship was like, if you have any, suggestions for students coming into this program, but then also sort of how your internship played out throughout the semester, and maybe even, how you kind of manage that as part of the program.
Yeah, that's a good question. So first of all, everybody who is applying to the program, be sure that the rhyme of the program is gonna be so intense and quick. And I think that's the good part of it. There will be always something going on, especially when you're in CU track, right? Because once you're in Vienna, you don't think that, oh, I'm in Vienna and I still have time to apply. No, you already start preparing your resumes, your cover letters. You start already researching organizations. So there would be no time for you to kind of chill out because guys, it's a serious program. It's masters, right? First of all. So when I was applying for internships, first of all, it was super nervous, even though I had I think two international internships prior to applying to this master's program, but still, and I was like, it's New York City, right? Maybe like I should do better and I should do like a better research. So I applied, I think, to more than 30 organizations. So for me, like, the less the better. That was not working because I've been doing lots of research and I realized that it's really competitive to get into, the internship that you want. And I really loved all the workshops that we had with Amanda. Back in my time, we had Amanda Hudson that would do workshops on cover letter writing, resume, and she would actually, comment on each sentence and each word. And I absolutely loved it because the way how we understand cover letter, because as you know, it's very different when you apply to European programs and to American ones. So I was new to this, and thanks to all these great workshops, I actually learned how to nail any resume and cover letter that actually I think that actually happened to get the job that I'm currently in, honestly. And especially interviews. Imagine applying to so many organizations and having tons of interviews with all of them, you will really, really improve your writing skills, your interview taking skills. Just don't be afraid, just keep applying. That would be my advice. And honestly, like I think I applied to like 35 different positions in 30 organizations, if my memory doesn't betray. And I had only 7 interview offers. And I thought, it's so little, but I had some of my other peers had like zero. And I was, you watch all this crazy like YouTube and Instagram reels where people apply to 150 and get zero offers. And it's like, that's the job market, that's the internship market, call it if you want. So, you just keep applying and then see, like the catch. So for me, that was, yeah, I mean, you just learning along the way. That was great. But my top number organization that I really wanted to intern during the program was Carnegie Council. I think most of the people want to go there, and BCIU. And I was not even invited to the interview. But to my surprise, I had 3 offers and I went to ENSN and I was like, it's EN, it will look so great in my resume, why not? So I was part of a communications intern. I'm not going to talk a lot about all the process. It's hard and hectic, but it's enjoyable and you should really just trust it and enjoy it. That's what I would say. Don't stress too much over it because everybody goes through this. And my job was mostly working on the website, on the content, on the digital presence of the program that I was interning for. So UNSSN is super huge, but I was working specifically for Global Schools Program, GSAP, and I had like very different tasks. And honestly, I was expecting that it would be harder, but in reality, after 1 month, I get adapted so super quickly. And most of the tasks seemed like manageable, they're not that time consuming. And I talked to my supervisor and I said, "Hey, Amanda," her name was also Amanda, and I said, "So I know that you are really working on this new program. And that seems super interesting. Like, is there anything that I can be involved in? And I would love to help." And she was like, "Oh, do you really want to? Let's do this." So, my other advice would be don't be afraid to initiate something or like offer any ideas when you're working in an organization, even though like my title was communications intern. And definitely I was good with digital skills and producing different digital, I don't know, materials, posters and everything, or website. But still, I just wanted to do something new as well while I was there. I was like, maybe I will not have the chance ever again. And it was wonderful to work on this new project. It was not a bit, it was, I think, so much different from what I was supposed to. And I actually learned a lot from like how to implement this global project that they had. And I still follow it until now. And they just implementing it so great and smooth, and I love what they're doing. So I'm not gonna talk a lot, but feel free to ask me questions later. And I think I'm gonna turn it over to Yulia now.
Actually, Nilüfer said perfectly everything about the preparation for getting the internship because we do start at the first semester. We look for it. I personally met with Duncan and Josie and we developed a list of the organizations that I would be interested in. Then we did have some sessions about how to have a good cover letter, resume, sometimes interviews. But it's like a bit more of a responsibility for the intern, and everybody's experience different. For me, it took me just one application and I got my internship because they needed people. The permanent mission of Ukraine to the United Nations, they needed people. And I think I was the first one out of my cohort of people who were coming to New York to secure the internship. So don't be afraid that for some people it takes some time, for some people it takes just one application. It really just shows that you're interested in it, you want to find a place that you like, you want to do the job that you like. For me, it was the permanent mission and it worked was the first time. So if to talk about the general experience, I was literally pursuing a role of a diplomat as it would be if I was put by my capital, Kyiv, to New York to present my country, because I was attending all of the meetings, all of the conferences. I was writing a lot of reports. I was involved in projects, in like making side events, in translating activities. So there's not like a specific activity that I did. It was everything. It was intense, but that's what made me learn that I'm actually interested in international organizations, in this diplomacy, international relations, politics world. Because now, as I'm speaking from my office in Vienna, I'm doing my one-year internship with the International Atomic Energy Agency in Vienna. So it's the part of the United Nations. I continued this path, but if it was not the MAGS program, if it was not the internship, if it was not the, like, I think if it was not the New York City and in general, like Bard, I would not be here, because that experience, that internship solidified my interest in what I like, and it kept going. After you graduate, you more understand what you want to do, what you want to apply. And this internship was really important. I would say it was like 99% of me deciding to apply here to MAGS program because we had internship, because I really wanted to have this like practice-based experience that I had my theory. CEU, the Vienna track, super with theory, but Bard really gives you like you put the theory into practice, and that's what I love the most about it.
I think the two of them are such a great example for the internship process in particular. Thank you both for speaking on that. I think, the difference between some students landing their first interview and application and some students, it's 5 days before the program starts and they're still waiting. But then often what happens is a week later, they have 3 offers on their plate to choose from. So, it really can look a little bit different for each student. And I hope that these two different, examples are an example that, any student can really take this on, especially with the support that we provide from the program. If I can ask another question to you both, maybe before we open it up to some of the questions I've seen come in, I would love to ask, about how you think your academic preparation before coming to MAGS sort of, set you up for success. And maybe if you could address sort of like what your undergraduate preparation was like and how you think, that the academic rigor compared to what you were used to in the past.
I love that question, Duncan. Thank you. So I did my bachelor's in Kyrgyzstan at the American University of Central Asia, and I came from political background. I majored in international relations. What I loved about AUCA, my alma mater for bachelor's, is that it's a liberal arts university, and CAU is liberal arts, and Bard is liberal arts. Actually, AUCA is accredited through Bard, which I really loved, and most of our curriculum is super similar, like 95%, if not more. And most of the courses that I would take, so we had Bard courses during my bachelor's, and I had the chance to take Bard courses and Ozone Network, Open Society University Network, a network of big, cool universities, and I had that courses, and I was like, thank God I was taking that courses, because when I was at CU and Bard, most of the topics and most of the assignments that we were doing, it was super similar to that. So I think that was great. And speaking of I think liberal arts, because it's interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary in like all these three institutions, and I think that also prepared me academically in terms of, yeah, you study IR, but like I had background in law, in psychology, sociology, and you definitely discuss like different perspectives when you talk about different topics. I think that was really helpful for me as well. Um, what else? Speaking of the research, so we used to have a couple of professors from CEU at Outsa in Bishkek, and they were like super cool. They would usually teach research methodology, one of the very like serious courses when you are in junior year. And I think that also prepared me a lot, because CEU is a research university and you have to know how to research. It's not only about Googling different things, but no, it's about methodology, theory, knowing your topic, asking good research questions. And for me, I thought that I was struggling at CU because it's just so cool. It's like, especially when you study IR, it's top one major in CU. I thought that I would struggle, but in reality, turned out that I'm prepared and I could like manage most of my classes. In terms of grading, though, they were really harsh in grading. Please be ready for that. Compared to Bard, it was a bit harsh because I don't know, maybe most of the professors were German, maybe that. But yeah, in terms of academic readiness, I think this was my case, and I'd love to hear from Julia. Yeah, her response to this question.
So I also did have a background in international relations and political science. I've had two bachelors. One of them I finished in Ukraine, and it was international relations, and another one was in the United States. It was political science. And that's why I was also looking into the program that could have like both regions, Europe and United States, because it's kind of where I'm coming from. I do agree with Nilufar that CU was really based on research, critical thinking, and academic writing. And so that this is what the professors expected from us. Also, the classes were super small, so we did have lots of discussions among the peers, but also with the professor. So yes, my background helped me a lot, even to secure good grades. But I wouldn't say it was super hard because the professors are really good in and they're interested in making you understand and making you understand different perspectives. You will understand that it's not just black and white. International relations, global studies are not black and white, and you will get different perspectives on this. But same goes with Bard. Even though Bard was more policy oriented, more practical, more applied, they took more applied approach. The courses I had a diplomacy class with Professor James Catter, or I had Global Challenges course with Christopher LaRoche, who was the visiting scholar from the CU actually. And they give you this like real world issue and you find a solution together as a group. So for me, it was more interesting to be in Bard and having this practice-oriented classes, have lots of policy writing, making some projects, than CU because I already had the background full of theory of international relations. But it's up to a person. Somebody's super interested in research, somebody's super interested in having an issue and finding a solution. Really depends on the person.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. And just looking at time, I do want to shift us towards the Q&A as soon as possible. But if I can ask one more quick question of you both. Just because you both did the dual MA program and got to spend a semester each in Vienna and New York City, I was wondering if you have like is there like one super long-lasting memory that you have from either city that you think, should encourage students to consider either of these places as a forum for being a student, being a young professional, all that good stuff?
I can start with that. Well, I think to tell you how much I loved Vienna, I moved back to Vienna to live here. I literally think that Vienna is my home, but the long lasting is always Christmas markets in Vienna. If you guys have never been there, please go. It's literally you spend their time with your friends. And by the way, what I really liked about the MAGS program is that you build this community of friends that you still keep in touch with. All of my friends from masters, I still keep in touch with them. Some friends from New York, we have internship together here, so that makes you a really good community. That's like a side answer to it. For New York, I really loved that we had this like social life activity at the beginning of semester. We have a list of events that we wanted to sign up for, and we went to basketball games, to football games. We went to ice skates in the Bryant Park or the Broadway, as Duncan said. And for me, like this sense of community, but also doing something active and not just staying in a dorm doing your classes during the internship. That's like the highlight of both of the semesters.
I totally agree with Julia. I think just because we're from the same track, most of our experience is more or less the same, and the perspective as well. Guys, Europe and the United States, these are two different continents, very different ways of living in culture. Vienna, it was my second time to visit Vienna, and I absolutely love it. It's calm, it's lovely. There are, even though they say, oh, it's a city for senior people, don't listen to them. There are so many things that you can explore, the museums, the shows, and the city itself. And then you can always travel easily when you're there. And we actually had a trip to Italy, which I want to highlight with my peers in the program. We went to Venice, We had the cheapest flight ever, 43 euros, guys. Can you imagine a flight? I still remember it. It was crazy. And we absolutely loved it. And we traveled to Treviso and then Venice. Great. I think that's the great part to go to Europe. And guys, if you really want to challenge yourself, definitely when you do 1 year MA program in New York, that's great. But I think like just adapting to different continents and cultures and cities, that's challenging, let's face it. And that challenge comes with lots of great memories and experiences that you can experience. And yeah, the program even exceeded most of my expectations. For New York, it was my very first time to go to United States, not even talking about New York City. And you may understand that, oh gosh, coming first time to America and it's New York City, it was hard. I'll be honest, in terms of, it's New York City, it's some people say it's not even America, like it's very different vibe. But I liked the vibe. Like that it's crazy, that it's hectic, it's busy. I love busy in big cities like New York. And I think that really inspires you to do so many things. Like I always thought that, you're really incapable of just doing internship, doing your masters, looking for jobs. Like guys, you will not just do study. You have to think of your future when you're doing your masters. And that was all possible because the city just pushes you, it just inspires you, and people there, everybody hustles there, and you're like, okay, we're all in this together. And it's an amazing city. That's why I traveled there this year, because I wanted to explore it. And you can go like the 300 times and you still will find something new, and that's what makes it so fabulous. So yeah.
Awesome. I love those answers. Thank you both for sharing. And so just to quickly wrap us up, I did want to just touch on, if I can get myself, I'm going backwards now, if I can go over some admissions information for you folks. I just want to, go over some general requirements, make sure everyone knows what's ahead in case you're interested in applying for this upcoming year. So the requirement list, as you see, it's pretty standard, very similar to other graduate programs. We ask for a statement of purpose as well as your resume, a very short essay, very short writing sample, just to kind of address what type of academic questions you're interested in, and of course, academic transcripts and some letters of recommendation as well. In terms of admission timeline, this is a little bit different from the past. So just some quick updates for everyone. Our regular admission deadline this year is February 15th. That is the deadline for anyone applying for financial aid. So domestic or international students, anyone applying who would like to be considered for financial aid needs to make sure their application and all of those requirement materials, like I said, are received by the 15th. We do admissions pretty quickly here, so that deadline is pretty important, especially for anyone looking for financial aid. For anyone else who would not be considered for financial aid, we do have a rolling, second kind of final deadline that goes up until May 31st. But I always say, the earlier you can apply, the better we can, sort of accommodate your schedule and get you ready for the program. So that's it in terms of admissions timelines. We do not require an application fee, so there's no fee to start your application or submit it to us. We will make sure it gets read. And we also don't ask for any sort of standardized testing materials. The only thing on that note is if you're coming from a background where English is not one of your native languages, or your previous academic programs were not conducted in English, we do just have to have some proof of English proficiency requirements, but those are pretty easy to make happen. And if you want to learn more about our sort of tuition and the rates for things, especially including housing in New York City, all of that can be found on our admissions page. So I encourage you to go to the website, and I'll give you some contact information in just a sec as well, so you can reach out anytime. But with that, I would love to, these are some context for you, but I would love to pass it back to Flor if we can start going through the Q&A.
Okay, here I am. Thank you, Duncan. Thank you, Julia and Ilufar. It was great hearing your experiences, girls. Duncan, I have the very first question for you, because I think all the other questions are for the girls, actually.
Awesome.
That's good. What originally inspired the creation of this MAGS program, and what makes it unique compared to other global studies master's programs?
Yeah, thank you for that question. It's a really good question, and that I have a really specific answer for MAGS because we this was a really intentionally designed program. So Bard College actually started an undergraduate program in the year 2001 that was designed for students. As I mentioned, you saw Bard College is about an hour and 45 minutes upstate from the city. But in 2001, they started the program called the BGIA program, Bard Globalization and International Affairs. So this was a program that was really simply designed to pair students studying international relations and politics with organizations in New York City that could help them, start to connect their sort of academic backgrounds with the professional fields that they're interested in. So Bard had been running this internship program all the way since 2001. And then in 2019, 2020, during the pandemic, we were trying to launch this program, but obviously things got a little bit stunted by the pandemic. So by 2020, when we had finally gotten ready to launch the program, we decided to scale up to this graduate level program. So, pairing this really intentional professional internship with all of these great things that you've heard talking about today. So, not only professional exposure in New York City, the opportunity to network, but also just like the professional growth that I think a person can experience from being a young adult in New York City, especially while balancing, an internship and coursework. All of these things at once, I think, as you've heard today, is a great training ground for students to kind of, launch into their careers after the program. So MAGS is really, kind of special in this space, I would say, not only because we are the one-year program, like I mentioned, but because students are coming in and doing really, unique and cool things during their time in the program. So I think that's my answer. And if I can elaborate, I'm happy to as well.
Okay, thank you, Duncan. Thank you. So, Julia and Nilufar have a few questions for you. So, let's go. Let's start. First of all, how easy or hard was adapting to New York or Vienna for you? What would you say?
For me, New York was way harder than Vienna because New York is bigger, more people, more stuff going on. Vienna is really European city. It's quite small, not so many things happening, even though we did find some activities like attending the conference or guest lectures, expanding your networking opportunities. So for me, it was relatively easy also because I lived in the States before. But I think Nilüfer has another answer.
I think I would have a similar answer. Vienna was easy, and I was like, thank God I learned German for a year, and now I can practice it. And it was my second time, and I knew most of the places, and I had friends that were like really dear to me, close to me. One of them was my best friend. But as I said, New York was my first experience, and I didn't have anyone, like absolutely anyone. And we arrived, and in 2 days we had orientation, and after that, like everything just started, and we were like super busy. For me, I think it took 2.5 months out of 4 months that we have there, if not five, almost, to adapt. Because it's metropolitan city. It's huge, guys. I've been to other like huge cities like Istanbul and that, but like New York is still it's still different to navigate, especially like we don't have metros in Tajikistan. It was like my first experience to use subway. So, but yeah, if you're adaptable, if you're open to like new experiences, you're gonna be fine. Yeah.
Okay. And if you had to pick one, what was the biggest challenge when moving to New York?
Prices, guys. You're going to the most expensive city in America. Please be ready for that.
It's a good answer.
For me, I would say it was that people are so much in hustle that sometimes it's so hard to slow down and chill and relax that you're always on the move and you need to do it, you need to go, and you don't, the grind never stops. That's literally about New York. For me, it was about that.
Okay. And now talking about your careers, when did you start feeling career ready during the masters? At what point? That's a hard
Career.
question.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was doing this master's because I wanted to have this first seed of my professional career. That's why it's connected to the place of the internship that I had. And I started already applying for jobs since April. So I haven't finished the master's yet, but I already was looking for some professional opportunities. And it does give you the understanding that what you've done during your internship, it actually prepares you for the real life. And there were some tasks and activities that I didn't know I was capable of. So I would assume that the internship itself makes you career ready in a way
Okay.
that you know what you want and you solidify it. At least this is how it was for me. What about you, Nilafar?
For me, I was unconfident. I mean, like I'm a person with imposter syndrome, and nothing is ever enough for me, to be honest. But I think for most of the people, you never feel that you're ready. You just take and apply, and you see if it will work out. And I started applying so early, it's crazy. I started applying after New Year, it was January. It was January, and because this was I knew the cool organization that I wanted to work, and I had 3 interviews. And it was crazy. So my I just wanted to like secure it as soon as possible. So I started early applying. So
Okay. And what skills do you think you have gained during the program, or now you're still studying, but how do you feel about that?
I'm not studying anymore. I
Oh
graduated,
no.
but
Oh, you graduated. Oh, sorry.
yeah,
Sorry,
I'm
so sorry.
graduating.
I thought you were still in the last weeks.
No, no,
Okay.
I graduated 6 months ago, but it's totally fine. The skills I believe for me was the networking skills is to show yourself and know what to say, how to say, think before you say, meet people that might be helpful for you in the future. For the CU, specifically research skills, the methodologies and the academic writing that they taught us was really valuable. I know a few people who would like to pursue PhD after this, and I think for them it was a good step towards that goal. And for the Bard, I would say lots of policy writing. For me, it was because of my capstone project, the frame of it, but also of the classes that I attended.
Okay, perfect. And Nilufar, what about
uh,
you?
yes, I would have the similar answer. But I don't want to repeat, but I would add cover letter and then resume writing, tying it to specifically like US job market and internship market. So that was like very essential skill, and that I learned, and other personal and soft skills for sure.
Okay. And what about the class environment? The class size, the nationalities. Did you make significant relationships, or do you think it's more for an individual center opportunity? This is a special question.
I would say that both universities in general are small class size, so that you have not intimacy, but you have more possibilities to talk, to speak your mind, to talk to your peers, to your professors, and it's really valuable because even as you speak about some kind of issue, you understand that, oh, that might be not correct, and then you're just trying to like look for other critical like perspectives on the issue. um, so, and then yes, the international, oh my God, yeah, it's super international. Everybody I met was from different countries. We still keep in touch. Again, here in Vienna, I have all of my friends here. Still keep in touch with my people from New York. And they also give lots of different ideas on their backgrounds. Like I had a friend whose parents are diplomats and he could tell me about the diplomacy work, or I have friends who had their internship in the European Parliament in Brussels, and that's something that I wanted to do. So now I have my internship in the IAA that I could share my experience with. So it's really international. You will meet lots of people to different tastes of people. We're all humans, so yeah, it really depends on like if you're open to meeting new people.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a really great answer, I'd say. And I think traditional liberal arts classes that are always small, which makes it super great that professor will have an opportunity to get to know each student and you will have a chance to like interact more, which is great. And it's very diverse, as Julia highlighted. And I think that's the yeah, as far as you're open-minded and you're ready to meet people from different parts of the world, then I think that that's really amazing to do this cultural exchange. And we had lots of moments where we would, cook each other's food, and then share different cultural cultures and then traditions with each other and do lots of gatherings, which are super helpful besides class. Try to do that to get to know, each other more. So.
Okay, perfect. And Julia, I have a question directly for you. Camila wants to know if you could talk more in depth about your internship. What was your background before, since you got your position exactly where you wanted it? Where it was and how many hours a day? Can you explain a little bit about it?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll keep it short. I did have my bachelor's in international relations and political science. So since freshman year, I was always interested in the United Nations. We did have like a Zoom meeting with the permanent mission of Ukraine when I was just 17, and I met those people and I set the goal into my future that I really want to try myself, if not in the mission, then in the United Nations. And that's how, when I realized that we have this internship with MAGS, and I literally started looking for the opportunities. So it's like if you want to find, you will find. That was my way of experience, and where it was obviously permanent mission of Ukraine to the United Nations, we are allowed to work up to 20 hours per week. So you negotiate with your supervisor of the internship which days you can come or you cannot. It really depends on when you have your classes in Williamsburg, and if you have any other activities. For instance, I worked closely with Duncan. I was also a graduate assistant, so I had my other obligations. But yeah, my internship was unpaid, if that was also the question. But honestly, the experience that I gained is way more about having the financial reimbursement of that, because it did help me a lot. It helped me a lot with meeting right people. It helped me a lot with thinking of what I want to do with my future and realizing that I do have a potential and realizing this potential to the fullest.
Okay, thank you, Julia. And Nilufar, what was was there a particular project or assignment in the program that was especially challenging for you?
For me, capstone was challenging in a sense that it just comes right after when you just feel exhausted after, the classes, internship projects that you have to submit or report. And plus, when you start just applying to different works and jobs, just because it's not the stressful time, it just makes it a bit challenging to handle it. But at the end of the day, if you really start early, if you have a good idea and just start drafting, you will finish it at the end of the day. But honestly, in our court, most of the people were procrastinating, but we all, did it as we had to, and then we turned it over on time for sure. And we had our professor who was great, who would give lots of feedback. But in this sense, it was challenging. But other like the assignments and the tasks, they were all manageable. So.
Okay, great. Thank you. Just a final question for you, ladies, because we have so many, but unfortunately, we're running out of time.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to prospective participants to maximize their experience at Bard?
I would say be open. Be open to every opportunity that you have. Be open of, I don't know, missing your dinner just because you want to attend a cool guest lecture in the mission to the European Union, and then you meet some, you would say random people, but then you get stuck with them and then they might help you in the future. You might help them in the future. So be open to doing stuff, to meeting new people, to having new activities. New York is really open-minded. You like if you're in New York, please be open-minded about everything that is happening around you. Even if you're missing your train, even if, I don't know, your favorite bagel flavor is not in the shop, just be open-minded. And this way you will leave easier, you will leave not careless, but more, I would say, grounded to whatever you do. And that's how, not only about the program, but like how we live life. We're just being and keeping open-minded.
That's
Okay,
a really
thanks.
great advice. From my side, I would say, do not take this opportunity for granted. 1 year seems like, it's a long time. It's not. It will pass by so quickly, and you will not even realize with all the crazy rhyme that I was mentioning. So make sure to enjoy the moment. For sure, don't think it's gonna be easy. It's gonna be challenging. It's gonna be intense and tough for me specifically because I started this program right after my very tough senior year, right after my bachelor's, and like with no break or anything. And 3 months I spent to apply for visa and gather documents, and but I was there. So I would say, just be super productive. Don't delay things and try to take advantage of all the opportunities that you have there. Don't think, I know I'll have time to do this. No, you will not have time. So just network, stay in touch with those people that they will give you maybe some opportunities. Could be even job offers. You never know. We had a case where one of my peers now is working with one of our professors, in the UN. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. Who could think? Be active in your classroom. Don't think, I'm a master's student. I'm just gonna come and sit and go. No, don't be active, stay active, and do what's in your hands and do your best. That would be my advice.
Okay, thank you so much, ladies. Really, your experience and what you're transmitting, I think, is really helpful for everyone that is on the other side of the computer or the phone. I I am sorry for all the questions we could not answer, Duncan. I have left all the participants your email so that they can contact you regarding information about admissions, visas, scholarships, English levels, all these kind of questions we have and unfortunately cannot answer today. Feel free to contact Duncan. You have also the contact information on screen right now. Just make a screenshot or write it down if you want. And if you want to receive your certificate of attendance, you can click on the link I have just left you on the chat so that you can receive it directly on your emails. Now it's time to say goodbye. Thank you very much. I want to thank our panelists, of course, for your really interesting and personal presentation. It was really valuable, all this information. Thank you also to all the participants who joined us today and stayed until the end. Your presence and your questions made this session much more dynamic and engaging. Once again, thank you all for being here with us. I look forward to seeing you in the next events organized by WeUni. Have you all a wonderful day or evening or afternoon, depending on where you are right now. Goodbye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. And thank you, Yulia and Nilüfer.
Thank you, Duncan. Thank you, Florencia.
Thank you, and good
Take care,
luck to
everyone.
everyone who's applying.
Okay, goodbye.